Hello, everyone, and welcome to part 3 of our tutorial series. My name is Emilio, and our previous videos, we created a customer self-service portal using Glide and integrated it with Salesforce Service Cloud using Make. And if you haven't seen those two videos, I highly recommend going back, watching them first, and getting up to speed. Today, we'll take our customer self-service portal to the next level by integrating it with OpenAI's ChatGPT. We'll use Make.com scenario to take the records from Salesforce, pass the request to ChatGPT, get the response back from ChatGPT, update the Salesforce case, and create a new Glide note to close out the loop. So before we get started, please note that I don't represent Glide, Make.com, or Salesforce, so the opinions expressed in this video are my own, and the information provided is for educational purposes only. So let's go back to our original example, where inside of Glide, we have our customer self-service here. And let's begin by rerunning the last scenario, which is let's create cases in our app, notes in our app, and having those synced with Salesforce. You can see that first step. So here, click on the plus icon here, and we'll just make sure that we have our scenario ready. So this is our original scenario. We're going to watch for records inside of Glide. And we have a router. That router will either pass data to create a case in Salesforce or create a note in Salesforce. And we'll run through both of those scenarios. And in the case scenario, we'll also come back and edit the record in Glide so we can tag the Salesforce case ID back to the original case it came from. So here, we'll get this scenario started. We'll wait for new data. On the form, say, need help creating new customer ID. I've recently changed my email address and need to create a new account in your website. How do I get started? Go ahead and submit that case. We can see it's added right here. And we'll take a look at Make. We can see that it captured that request. We can see that it also went the new case route. You can see that it made it into Salesforce as well. And you can see that the update back into Glide occurred as well. So let's take a look at that on the data side. So inside of our cases table, we see the new record here. We see our entry. You can even see the Salesforce ID as well. So let us know that that scenario went end to end. So let's go one more step and create a new note. And let's just make sure that our scenario is running again. This way it'll pick up our note creation. Also, please note that the email address on my previous account no longer works. That way we can see a new note in that Salesforce case as well. So in our customer self-service portal, our customer has given us information about a request that they need assistance with. They've also given us a note. We can check our integration by checking Glide. You can see here, or check Make. You can see that the first step indicated a note came through. You can also see that the route passed it down the second path, down to creating a note here. And if we want to, let's take a look. Inside of Salesforce, we'll refresh this. And now we have the new case that was created. We can see the note that was created here. And we can also see all of the information that is currently inside of Salesforce. Now let's imagine for a second that this case comes in and we get tons of cases like this. And you want to streamline the process so that some of these cases may have a very simple, straightforward response that you can provide back to your customer immediately. That might be a standard operating procedure. It could be some sort of knowledge base But imagine if a number of these type of requests that were fairly straightforward could be immediately answered by using AI. So let's take a look at what this scenario would look like if we integrated OpenAI. So we'll come back to our scenarios. And we open up the scenario here. So this is what it would look like. So in this instance, we can branch off of the Salesforce creation. And while we do that, we can go to our watch records action here. This will look for any records that have recently been created within the Salesforce platform. We'll also add a router, where in this instance, we have a route that will look for any cases, in this instance, that are new. Then we will have an OpenAI or a ChatGPT prompt where it will use this particular model from a user's perspective as a role. And then here is where your ChatGPT prompt goes in. So you'll say you're a customer service agent and need to respond to customer service inquiries for general knowledge about website access and customer services to answer the question from the customer provided. And the description is coming from the description that was placed in by the customer inside of Salesforce. So that's going to bundle in both your script and what someone provided as a request into one request. Then inside of Salesforce, we need to do one extra step. So say we get the information back from ChatGPT, we want to update the case that started off on our first step. And we also want to input our results from ChatGPT. As you can see, as I hover over this, this also highlights the actual component as well. So that will populate Salesforce with the response that comes back from ChatGPT. And then the last step is, because Salesforce is updated, we also want to close the loop by coming back to our customer self-service app. And we want to create a new note inside of our customer service app. That way it can respond back to the customer to let them know that a new note has been added on their case. That way they can get an immediate response. So as you can see on the comment, you have the comment with the result for the note, and then we'll tie in the external ID. That would be the ID here. That's coming from Glide. And it'll populate the Salesforce case ID. That way, it can also tie back to the case from the Salesforce as well, so you can close the loop. So what we'll do here is we'll close this out and we'll run this scenario. Now that we have a new case that's been added, it's going to run through the one we just previously added. It's found that record, it's passing it through, and as you can see, it found the case that we had created previously, where we have a new customer ID, recently changed my password. You can see that it passed through our ChatGPT prompt. We can see that it did successfully update the case record, and we can see that it successfully added a note back to the Glide customer self-service app in the notes table. So let's take a look at how this looks inside of Salesforce. So let's look at our case record. We'll refresh the record. And on our details, you can see this is the response that comes back from OpenAI. So our ChatGPT response said to create a new account on our website. Here's the information. You can see all the details that are provided here. And another thing that happens is on that update, it also changes our status to on hold. So when you're designing integrations like this, one suggestion is try to make it so that when you do some sort of update within the system, originally the case was marked as a status of new, but when we updated it, we changed it to on hold. This could be changing it to in progress or changing it to work in progress or updating, because if an update happens after this, you want to have a way to stop the transaction from moving forward. So in some ways, if you have new cases coming in, have that be your filter to only process new cases. And then during that process, as we saw in our make.com integration here, this update to update that record to be on hold in this instance, that's what will stop it from triggering the process over and over again, and you end up with a loop. So having some sort of design process where you always catch a certain number of records and then you update them till you can stop the process of triggering again is always a good design practice. So this is how it looks inside of Salesforce. As you can solve on end to end, and you can see the case history. You can change the status as well from new to on hold. Now let's go back to our customer self-service portal and let's take a look. So as we can see, it also updated here as well. So this was the note we added previously, and this is the brand new note that was also added to respond back to our customer. So think of this as one way that you can expand upon the customer self-service value to your customers, immediately responding if you have a knowledge base, a website, or anything that you can tag into OpenAI or ChatGPT to do that immediate response back to your customers. So think of it as we can have a number of our cases immediately be responded back to our customers with a fairly straightforward response. And then you have other instances where you have other cases that will require a little bit more assistance, might require a heavy touch. They require a phone call. But now you're able to segment out which ones would be able to be quickly handled versus need a little bit more assistance. And that way you can provide better customer service to your customers in an immediate way. So I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know. And thank you for watching.